There is a kind of man the world never understands. He doesn't argue, he doesn't explain, he doesn't beg for closure. One day, he simply disappears. And the strange thing is, he looks peaceful doing it. Most people call it coldness, some call it pride. But the Stoics called it something else entirely. They called it freedom. There was a man named Marcus, not a king, not a warrior, just a man like most of us. He had given everything to the people around him, his time, his energy, his silence when he should have spoken, his words when he should have stayed quiet. He loved deeply, he trusted without question, and for years, he told himself this was strength. He stayed in rooms where his name was spoken with disrespect. He returned to conversations that drained him like a wound that never closed. He kept showing up for people who only noticed him when they needed something, and every night Marcus would lie awake, not angry, not sad, just heavy, like something inside him was slowly being buried alive. He thought about saying something, confronting them, demanding respect, explaining how much he had sacrificed, but every time he opened his mouth, the words dissolved. Because deep down, Marcus knew something he wasn't ready to admit. You cannot pour meaning into people who have chosen to remain empty. One evening, Marcus sat alone near a window. The city was loud, but inside him, there was a strange silence. He picked up an old book, a worn copy of Marcus Aurelius, and one line stopped him completely. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He read it again, and something cracked open inside him, not with pain, but with clarity. He had spent years trying to control something that was never his to control. Other people's choices, other people's perception of him, other people's capacity to love. He had been fighting a war against the wind. The Stoics taught something radical. They said, the entire universe is divided into two things only: what is yours and what is not. Your thoughts, your response, your silence, your dignity, those are yours. Everything else, every opinion, every outcome, every person's behavior does not belong to you. Marcus had spent his entire life trying to own what could never be owned. He had wrapped his peace around other people's moods. He had tied his self-worth to whether someone acknowledged him. He had made his inner world completely dependent on the outer world, and the outer world had never agreed to that arrangement. This is what breaks most men. Not betrayal, not failure, not loss, but the slow, exhausting war of trying to control the uncontrollable. That night, Marcus didn't cry. He didn't make speeches. He didn't send messages filled with anger or guilt. He simply made a decision, not out of hatred, not out of weakness, but from a place so deep inside himself that words couldn't reach it. He decided to leave, not dramatically, not loudly, in silence. The next morning, Marcus woke up differently. He didn't leave to punish anyone. He didn't leave to make a statement. He left because he finally understood something the Stoics had known for centuries. A man who has mastered himself has nothing left to prove. He stopped explaining himself because he realized that people who truly see you never need an explanation, and people who don't will never accept one. He stopped waiting for closure, because closure is something you give yourself. It is not handed to you by the person who caused the wound. He stopped looking back, not because he was cold, but because he understood that what you constantly look back at becomes the chain that holds you in place. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of one's fate, not the acceptance of defeat, but the total embrace of what is. Marcus didn't wish things had been different. He didn't fantasize about a version of people that never existed. He looked at his life exactly as it was, and he said quietly within himself, "This happened, and I am still here." And that is enough. There is a particular kind of silence that frightens people. Not the silence of someone who has nothing to say, but the silence of someone who has finally said everything to themselves. When a strong man walks away without looking back, it is not because he feels nothing, it is because he has felt everything and decided that his peace matters more than the need to be understood. He is not cold, he is complete. He has stopped performing strength and started living it. He no longer needs the argument to end in his favor. He no longer needs the last word. He no longer needs you to admit what you did. Because the Stoics taught him this final, devastating truth: your suffering was never about them. It was about the meaning you gave to their actions. It was about the importance you assigned to their opinion. It was about the power you handed them, without them ever asking for it. The world did not change the day Marcus walked away. The same people remained, the same rooms, the same noise. But Marcus was different now. He had stopped waiting for the world to become what he needed it to be. He had stopped measuring his worth through the eyes of people who could barely see themselves. He had chosen something ancient, something radical. He had chosen himself, not with arrogance, not with bitterness, but with the quiet, unshakable certainty of a man who has finally come home to his own mind. And as he walked forward, without turning, without hesitating, he understood one last thing. The chains were never on his wrists. They were on his perception. And the moment he changed how he saw, everything that once had power over him became nothing more than wind. This is the thing most people never discover. They spend their entire lives rearranging the world outside, moving people, changing places, starting over, believing that somewhere out there, peace is waiting for them. But Marcus had learned what the Stoics whispered across centuries. Peace is not a destination. It is a decision. It does not live in better circumstances. It does not arrive when people finally treat you right. It does not appear when the world becomes fair. It lives in the moment you stop needing any of that. The man who has found his own center cannot be shaken by someone else's storm. He does not need to win the argument because he has already won the only battle that ever mattered, the one inside himself. Some men leave loudly, hoping you'll ask them to stay. A strong man leaves in silence because he already knows the answer, and that answer is him.